This video is going to change the way you do things. This microphone is not even plugged in, but that's okay. I'm packing to go to Perth. And starting to vlog again. Whoa. This is our rumpus with the couch. My little sit table. My stuff here. And our nice little view of our little hidden valley. Which is very nice. I better remember to bring my stuff, but these are my bills. I'm going to Perth for a week. Sort out some house stuff. And surprise my dad for his birthday, and a little bit of a belated thing for my mum's birthday. They're coming with me. So yeah, this is our little hallway. I am going to show the bedroom. Ooh, nice and clean. I just vacuumed the floors so that I could show Yana, or have it nice and clean for Yana. Alright, this is enough stuff for me. That's like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm a like 3, 4 pair, 5, 6 pairs of underwear guy. Okay, I probably don't need that many pairs. I'll just put this pair back. And yeah, so we just bring some duct tape in there. Timmy being a little shenanigan over. And yeah. Packing pretty light. Stop. No. Hey! Hey! No. Out this way. Go. Whee! Alright. Gonna put a bit of space on this first. Vlogging. Back to it. Share some business thoughts. Philosophical practices, all that jazz. I don't know where Timmy is. Pacham, we're packed. This is going in there. Just my sparring gear, mouth guard in there. Travel bag. Wow. Shoes. Duct tape. The fabric tape. Camera gear. Camera's obviously here, and it's gonna go right there. Clothes and that in there. Phones are not gonna stay in there. Move bills. There's my family. Whoa. Whoa. Let's go. So what I'm actually showing here is a little glimpse of the old room we used to stay in at my wife's parents' place, because my brother-in-law Vincent picked me up from the airport. That's the little office we used to work in, and it was pretty cool to stay the night there. That's Vincent. And this is the little office I used to work in here. Like literally, it was pretty much the exact same storage room. That view off to the right. So like I'd work alongside this mirror basically at the end there near the window, and all those boxes would just be a little bit to the left. So it was kind of cool just revisiting that. Vinny with the speed dealers on. Let go. Big man came and picked me up at the airport last night. Took me to their house, and going back to surprise my dad. Surprise my dad for his birthday. For today is his birthday. Look at that. Woo-wee. Driving over. Don't be surprised. Hello. How are you? What the? When did you arrive? Today. Vincent just dropped me off.
안녕하세요.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you.
Good thing I didn't come on naked, Baba.
Yeah, but then I mean, you did that last time, yeah. You know, flying sidekick through the door. Oh, we're a little zoomed in. I just formatted the camera. So, and renamed it. But we're just doing a little live on the TikTokers and the Instagram and all that fun stuff. And I want to film it here for the YouTube. So basically I'm doing a little bit of an update. Just like an honest reflection and look at myself. This is something Yana and I were talking about yesterday on the drive to the airport, actually, and it was quite the conversation. I'm just gonna hotspot this thing, cause I don't know the password for my dad's Wi-Fi. I'm at my parents' place. Like I just flew here. I've been talking about that, obviously. Address, join this network. Already joined it, right? Okay. Show me the password. Oh, cool. I've actually got the password here. Very cute. It's a classic, sort of classic password. Boom. Alright, we should be connected. Sweet! We are connected. The Bluetooth device is connected. So I'm in my parents' backyard, the backyard I grew up in. And I absolutely am so blessed to be here. So I'm going to quickly do this. It's my dad's birthday today. So flew back here to surprise him. And basically I am just having a good old time surprising him. And going to go for a run with him in a bit. So I'm going to call this an honest look at myself. Yeah, that's a good name. That'll do. And I'll put these two things here. Sounded like someone was behind me. Alright, these are good like this. Can I possibly do it here without it falling over? No, it's going to fall if I do that. So I'm just going to move these over a little bit and get everything in here. Nice and easy. Too easy. Too easy, too breezy. Alright. Let's do this way. These have started. I'll actually shuffle this back a little bit. There you go. You got a little bit of... Now I'll put that there. An honest look at myself. Me with the intro. Because Timmy is back home in Brisbane and I'm in Perth. I'm going to sit back on this rocking chair and just give a little bit of an honest update, because my wife and I, Yana, were talking about some things yesterday whilst we were on the way to the airport, and I, if I'm being honest, have been what I call struggling with success, and it's just this thing whereby, if I'm looking at it honestly, I've achieved more than I thought was possible for myself in this lifetime in a much shorter time period than I ever would have thought I'd do, like a glimpse of these things. So, and I haven't done everything. There are still things that I'm truly called for to do, but it's just this thing where I was saying to Yana, like, I've been thinking about it honestly, where there was just, it's important to admit and accept this stuff because I'm in a very privileged position, and to do more, it is about accepting this as well. I was kind of feel like I was almost thrust into this world that was not really my idea of what life would be initially. And I felt before guilty about even thinking that and saying that, because I'm so privileged. Like, I've just flown here overnight to surprise my dad for his birthday. My mum's birthday was within the last couple of weeks as well, so I'm surprising both of them here. We've been able to do it through our business, and just to be here in person and surprise them. That's my mum over there, actually. I think she's about to leave for work, so I'm going to say bye. But to be able to... Are you heading off or not yet? That's alright. But to be able to do that is an immense privilege. Like, I'm very blessed to be able to do that. So that is something I really am grateful for. And I just know that this is not the life that I initially envisioned for myself, essentially, and it's important for me to not hold on to this stuff, to actually let it go, and to share that with you guys is important. Because for me, my life before the online space was very I was not a social media guy. I was not online. I loved making videos and posting them on YouTube and fun projects and that, but I was a personal trainer beforehand. So it's you kind of go into that small business owner mindset, that struggling artist, personal trainer kind of thing, because most PTs are broke, and I wasn't. I actually did quite well for myself as a PT, but I just thought, I'll just be a coach and make my way, and maybe it's those people that don't actually think about, they're oh, I'd love to retire my parents and do this and do that, but they actually don't have a pathway that's feasible for doing that. And so you're just oh, that'd be nice one day. And I was not really a social media guy. I didn't like to scroll. You wouldn't find me, when my wife first messaged me, to give you an example of this, you couldn't get me to reply within 5 minutes of sending a message, because I would get on once a day to my messages, reply to all of the messages I'd had banked up, and then I'd just leave it until the next day. So she'd reply within when we first met, within 30 seconds of me messaging her, and she wouldn't I wouldn't reply to that reply until the next day normally. And that's why I was very much let's catch up in person, that kind of guy, and just not really one to message back and forth that much. And I'm still kind of like that. I've done that before. Work to make mum proud. Absolutely. But yeah, through marrying my now wife, and that this is a good thing though. She really expanded my mind, because before I was I'm a personal trainer, I don't understand how you can even do the business that way. It's personal and training, it's online, how are you supposed to marry the two together? But then she showed me by her doing, and she expanded my mind and what I thought was possible, and then it all just kind of boom boom boom. We were broken in our first house kind of thing, and of course we come from that kind of background, or the situation we came from was we had the ability we could have relied on our parents and done this and done that, but we chose to take on a lot of that stuff ourselves. And we basically were just we went from that to starting successful online businesses, to moving houses, to getting a second house, to becoming millionaires and all of that stuff. And it just and so much of our work coming from online, and then moving over to a different state, moving across the country, driving across, and then it was just this whirlwind of stuff happening. And I guess I didn't really stop to think that much about just this feeling that was building up, of the fact that I was it's I asked for this, but I didn't ask for this, and I'm privileged and I'm very blessed to have received it, but it's beyond the scope of what Kaey-Lib is the 6-year-old Kaey-Lib would have thought he'd have for his life, so again, I'm very blessed and grateful to have received all of this. But it's there is a thing where you kind of you go into this nebulous of what now, what do I do if I can do this? And one of the thoughts that I had, and I've been writing about, is I joke about it, but it's that movie. I don't know what the movie's actually about, but it's The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which is a funny title. But the thing there is, I don't know, again, I don't know what the movie's about, but for myself, it's I've always been very good at anything that I set my mind to. So when it was the online business space, it was like I would just latch on and do these things, and like I'd do the cold DMing thing, and I just got in and I did it, and I would excel at it and like build the business to like 10K a month in 6 weeks. And then I would, you know, go even beyond that with the making content and that kind of thing, and like getting us through being homeless twice, like choosing voluntarily to be homeless twice to excel to that next level. Like, so it's one of those things where, like, I guess in a way it is tooting your own horn, but when you're that good at stuff and you realize that, like, I just can't lie to myself. I have to look honestly. I'm like, when you're that good at it, you're like, well, what's the point? Like, what am I here to do? You know, so struggling with that sense of purpose, like, is this it? Kind of thing, and especially going out of that realm that I was so accustomed to, which is a good thing to have been thrust into this world, this side of things. It just like, I got a little lost and was struggling a little bit, and complacent as a result of that. Look, I don't necessarily think it's complacent, and I'm coming around to all these thoughts, and I will share more over the time, but basically I had this analogy where it's like you're a deer in the headlights, and you're looking at yourself from an out-of-body experience, and you're like, move, go, go, go. What are you doing? Get out the way. And for me, the headlights and the deer, like what I was watching myself do was like not follow through on building businesses and endeavors beyond a certain point. Like I could do it that initial first couple months and get like massive success from it, and then I'd just be like, yeah, like it would just fade away. And I was like, why wouldn't you just follow through? You're so good at this thing, you can do so well with anything that you want. And obviously we're doing stuff in the background, working together, my wife and I, to like build passive income and that kind of thing. But it was just this thing where I was like, okay, that was cool. And I'd always have little things where I was like, okay, why do I enjoy doing this? And at the core of all of those things, what I've really enjoyed most and what's just driven me naturally is to learn those things and excel. And we'll come around to like the very basis, the foundation of that, which is my mission now, is that I was always like, what am I doing here? You know, why am I here? You know, what's the purpose? And I love learning stuff, but then I just wouldn't follow through. And to be honest, it's a funny thing where I've never considered myself necessarily a disciplined person. I just do what I enjoy, and it happens to, from the outside, potentially look like discipline. So, for instance, Yana and I were talking about this in the car yesterday. She was like, oh, you know, it's like that saying that 80% of your workouts will suck, and like 10% will be okay, and 10% will be great, but it's like you have to do the 80% to get the great ones. And I know that I first heard that sentiment from Joe Rogan, but it's never actually resonated with me, because it's just never been the case like that for myself. And this is part of me finding my process and that as well, and like being like, well, why wouldn't I follow through on stuff? Because I've been really successful and do a lot of my best stuff, the martial arts, the weight training, the business building, all that stuff, and it's never felt like that. It's never felt like this sucks 80% of the time, because for me, I'm like, I just wouldn't do something that sucks 80% of the time. When I think about training in that, I've always loved it. I've always loved training. I'm like, it's very scarce that I have a session where I'm like, I don't really feel like going in. I'm pumped up. Like, I love it. I want to be there. I love it. I can't wait, basically, to go to my next session. I'll finish the session and I'll get my videos from it, or I'll think about what I did in the session, and I'll be visualizing the next session already. It's like I'm there. I've started it already, and I was like, that passion has always been what's driven me. Even going back to like when I was in high school, making videos and that kind of thing, or free running and tricking, that kind of thing. These are things where I never considered myself disciplined. I was always driven by passion. So from the outside it might look that way, but for me it never felt like this thing that people called discipline. And I've called it discipline in the past as well, because there might have been times where you don't really feel like doing it, but I realize like now what most people see as like their 80% of the time is like their 80% of the time being miserable. My 80% of the time is loving it, bro. Like I'm so keen to go to the next martial arts session, to go to the next sparring session, to do the next thing, to hit the next weight session. And going back to high school, it was like I've always had this drive where it was like making videos, for example. I would go in an hour before school, and the teachers, like the media department, they all knew me, so they'd let me come in and edit my videos for an hour before school. Recess, lunch, I'd go in an hour after school, I'd be editing my videos, and then I'd leave school and I'd have, obviously that was like for school projects and stuff, I needed their stuff for, but then I'd go on my school laptop and I'd just be editing my own projects and like loving it, making our little free running videos and that kind of thing. Sometimes I'd do that on their computers, sometimes I'd do it on mine, but I'd always be working on it. And so it was like I'd take it everywhere that I went, and I just loved it so much that I would produce all of this stuff. And like, so I've been like, my YouTube channel's 13 years old actually, so I've been doing that kind of content for a very long time. But then even like with tricking and that, like free running in that, we would, when we got really into it, turban free running and all that period of time, CTM and that, some of you probably have no idea what that is, but those were the groups that we'd kind of called that stuff. But when we like found a sandpit at school before we got suspended for actually for doing this stuff at school. Funnily, that's a story for another time. I forgot about that one. Hey, a couple of my mates and I got suspended for like doing backflips at school. But we found a sandpit at school because I wanted to learn to backflip, and we just like learned to backflip on the first day, and like we were just so like I've loved free running for a long time and parkour and that, so we just parkour. We would just rock up an hour before school and just be in that sandpit, training, recess, training, lunch, training, just like doing this stuff after school. We'd stay for an hour, 2 hours, whatever. And it was like, this was just one of the biggest driving forces of my life, has always been that passion. And honestly, with all of the business stuff that I got into, I felt that maybe I'd lost sight of that. And I was like, what is my purpose? What am I actually passionate about? Because it's like the spark would be there for the initial period. And I know a lot of people say, you know, you just got to follow through and that. But it just wouldn't necessarily like, it didn't really click for me, you know? And I was like, well, I've just never been driven that way, but I've achieved excellence in various different fields without having to be that like poster boy of discipline per se, you know? Like I've been able to do it my way, which is leading with this side of things. And like I was saying before, like my mission now, what I came to realize this, and I have always been a very big proponent of this, like do what you enjoy, do what you truly want, what you're passionate about, not just what's pleasurable and on the surface and like instantly gratifying, but that thing that like, it wakes you up in the morning and you want to just talk about it. The way I put it is like, I'll talk about it to anyone who will listen and the people that won't listen as well. And that thing for me has always been the core of what I've done, is freeing minds, freeing my own mind, helping other people to free their minds. And the avenues that I have for that, the specific vessels for that, have always been stuff like free running, parkour. I've always been more interested in the philosophy, the martial arts side of things, business, personal training, weight training and that kind of thing, marriage, service to God. All of these things have been about freeing the mind. That's what I've always done. Like I've always loved to think deeply about these things and put it into action and have the two come together in this glorious mix of like faith and works. That's what fires me up. And we, like, for example, when we were talking about it on the way to the airport yesterday, 50-minute drive, just gone, like that. I didn't even realize, I was like, I don't even know where the time went, but the whole time I was fired up like this, like sitting forward, and I'm excited, and I'm like, so switched on. This is what life's about. It's like that flow state, that heightened state, and like, even right now, I'm starting to sweat a little bit talking about this, and I'm getting louder, and I can tell, and it's like, this is just like, what drives you, what fuels you. And I was writing about it in the plane on the way over, but it's like, that's my gift, is to be able to do that, because when I look at it, that's been the main thing that I've always done. But sometimes as I've pursued these avenues a little bit more, like business for example, sometimes, because you end up surrounded by, this is a topic for another time potentially, but like different personality profiles people have, like, or different, what do they call it, whatever term it is, but like different attributes and things people are suited to in business and life, for example. And they're not like diagnoses of like, this is it, this is all you are. It's just like things that you have an affinity towards, a proclivity for. And so mine's a bit more like this deal maker, man of the people kind of thing and star. Like, I love being up and performing and being in front of people and doing this stuff and talking to people, getting in the weeds, doing this. So I've got a couple of elements. Those are like my main two. But then being in business in that, you end up surrounded by, because these people tend to do the best a lot of the time in business, a lot of mechanics. So they're people who are very like, what's the strategy, what's the structure, what's the process, what's the execution. And I've just never really been that guy. But seeing all of that, sometimes I would be like, well, I don't know as much about this stuff as them. So where do I fit in? Like, what do I have? But you need both. Like, what do I have to offer? Would be the question. I get bogged down in that and thinking I had to do things a certain way, like, oh, I've got to do that, and I realize I'm comparing to these people that just have a different personality profile to me and different strengths, because you need both. But my strength, my gift, is essentially helping other people find their gifts is one of my strong ones, and like freeing the mind, like helping to build the mind for success, whatever that looks like to whoever. So my mission essentially, like, because I've been pondering this lately, like, what's the mission? Because I know that I need that to drive me, and I can do stuff, but when the intention's not really there, even if all actions are the same, they don't hit the same. Like, the outcomes are not the same, it doesn't feel the same for you, and people can feel that. And I've had like baseline passion and that kind of thing for all my stuff, but this is like, just when you're thinking and you know that, okay, there's a next level that I can get to here, just giving myself a bit of space. I haven't posted it as much, even though I love posting in that, it was like, the fire wasn't there, and I do stuff, and that's the discipline side of it, but I'm like, I know that this is not my best, like, this isn't how I work best. It was my best work that I could offer at the time, but I know that I can work better than this. So one of my things that I've realized is like, my mission is to free every man's mind, everyone's mind in this world. That's what I've been put here to do. That's so clear, because from that there are different avenues for that, and I'm quite a concept, or, well, that's how I do a lot of my best learning, and that is like, I'm very concept and conversation based with these things, very like the mindset, the principles behind this stuff, and then yes, there are the specifics of how to do that, and this is one of the reasons why I think I would also like falter in business as well. I'd get to a certain point where that mindset stuff would be sick, even if it was just my own stuff, and then I'd be like, okay, I've got to switch it now to being more the mechanic, like I talked about before, the strategist, that kind of thing. But I'm just not that guy. Like, I realize that, and I've been trying to force myself into this box that I don't belong in. And as a result of that, it's like, you just kind of naturally be like, oh, I don't enjoy this, like, what happened? And I'd be watching myself, like, from the outside, being like, dude, just keep going, like, what happened? Like, why won't you keep doing this thing? And it's just clicked now that, like, that's why. Because I wasn't doing things the way that I was called to do. And it's like, I've been listening to some Terry Crews, like, podcasts that he's been on lately. He's kind of had the same thing, where it's like, when it's not really your calling, and he was saying his wife lovingly called him out on this, just like how my wife does, is like, you know, did you really do everything you could have? Like, you look at like the things you were saying, you were trying your hardest, and I get defensive about it sometimes, like, I am, you know, because you know that you're not. It's like when you have such a visceral reaction to things, you know that, alright, this is symptomatic of like, I'm actually being defensive here, that kind of thing. Because if you really believe it, then it's just very level. It's like, oh, this is just the facts, you know, you don't have to like justify it with like high emotions, like anger and that kind of thing. But it's just looking at it and being like, well, you know, for him, she was like, with his NFL career, like, did you really study your plays fully and like give everything to your training and that? And he was like, oh yeah, probably not actually. And that's okay, because it's not really your calling, and now he's found his calling, because even before that he considered himself more of an artist. I really resonate with the story, by the way, so I'm just kind of going off on this a little bit, but he's always considered himself more of an artist first and foremost, and he kind of went to football and that because he was like, this is what I'm good at, nobody would actually pay me to do art and that kind of thing, you know, like, just that mindset, like, how you're supposed to do it, obviously where he grew up as well. And then now he is an artist, so and that art is performing, is like his painting, his drawing, all that kind of thing. And for me as well, I've always considered myself more of an artist and less of that mechanic. Not that there's not an art to the mechanic side of things, because everyone kind of sees it as art in their own mind. That's what drives us, and that's where the passion comes from. But for me, it's like trying to do art someone else's way, if that makes sense. For me, it's always been about these kind of deeper conversations with myself, sharing with others. All of that kind of thing has been my drive, and being able to free people's minds through that, and the proximity and increasing and expanding myself naturally expands people around me, both consciously and unconsciously, that's my gift. So my gift is helping other people find their gifts, and the ripple on effect that that has is actually, I was thinking about this, pretty nuts. Because if I'm looking at it honestly, obviously, I think I put a post up yesterday that was like, I can only show you the door, you're the one that has to walk through it. And the full quote thing from The Matrix was like, I'm trying to free your mind, but I purposely don't put I'm trying, because it implies that I'm not doing it. I put free your mind, but I can only show you the door, you have to walk through it. You have to choose to do that. And an example of that I was thinking of, one of the most powerful examples that I have in my life, and we've done this for each other, is my wife. Like, when I met her, I kind of just did my thing, where I just talked to her, and it's not like I was ever forcing her to do anything, but it's like just allowing her to see the way for herself. And I can kind of see it in people. It's like, okay, are you fulfilling that gift? Oh, my dad's here, we're going to go for a run. So I'm going to shut this stuff off. But basically, she was doing med, and it was like not really what she wanted to do, but she had 1 more year left before she was technically a doctor and going into placements and all of that kind of thing. And it was just through conversing with, like, is this really what you want to do with your life, and allowing her to make that decision of like, okay, I'm going to take a year off, I'm going to drop out of med school. And then, you know, she pretty much there was a bit of a rift, but then we got into online business stuff, and now it's all that we do. Like, she's just doing what she loves every single day and helping so many people, affecting so many lives that way. I'm like, wow, I had a part to play in that by doing what I do best. You know, and in turn, since then, she's expanded my mind and that kind of thing, and what I thought possible, and that's a beautiful thing. I'll wrap up on this topic for another time, but I saw this Alex Hormozy video where it was like the ultimate supporting voice, basically, in his life has always been his wife, being like, I would sleep with you under a bridge, that story, and just like, every guy wants that. Like, I think it's just like, that's one of the things that we truly want in life, and I knew that, and I intentionally got that with my wife now. So yeah, and that was part of freeing my own mind to do that, and like, that's what I love talking about with other people. So, you know, it's pretty much following the thing that you would do for free regardless. That's a question that I ask, is like, what if money was taken care of, what would you do for the rest of your life for free regardless? Because we all want to fill up our time with something, otherwise to not do that is to die. And this is it for me. This is like the thing that I've always done and I love to do, and I'll probably do till the day I die, or unless God tells me otherwise, you know. But this is my gift, and I'm very grateful to be able to have a look at it and be like, wow, okay, cool. I've built lots of great stuff to be in a position where I can think about it, but it all came from freeing my mind in the first place and being able to share that with others. So yeah, that's that one. An honest look at myself so far. There's still much more to talk about, but you guys will see that. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, this is the art of being man. Embody that, and it'll be all great, baby. Take care, guys. Love you guys. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. Bye, 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 bye. Bye, 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 bye. And now. Alright, let's get out of here. Hello! You don't look like you're ready for a run.
Yeah?
Is this what you're running?
Yeah.
Nice.
What do you think I wear?
No, like more sportswear.
This is not sportswear?
Not really.
Oh.
But that's okay.
This is not sportswear.
Not really. I wouldn't consider it sportswear.
Why did they say it can't get out?
Can't get out. Oh, this is still going. But yeah. And this is the stuff that will make me like, I want to make content about this stuff and film this stuff, do it every day, just whatever's required, you know? It's not like I have to discipline and force myself to show up and do that kind of thing. So for me, it's just never really resonated that way. It's just like who I am has always been more the driving force. I'm like, oh, of course, this is just what I do. I don't have to consider myself disciplined. But I've put that label on myself before. It was like, because I heard other people say it. And I was like, okay, I guess this is like the way to do it. There's a time and a place for it. Or there's a way of doing that some people really resonate with, but that's not my way. So something I love sharing as well is my way. Anyway, I'm going to pee now and go for a run with my dad. Bye. Yo, this is my childhood bedroom. But I just wanted to document this really quickly because I will be doing a live video on it, or just like more content about it. But for the longest time, I felt like I couldn't admit that I am not really a strategist or that kind of thing, or like my strength is more that gift and the mindset side of things. So, you know, that's also why I stifled myself in business, but that's why I've partnered up now with people that, like, and this is part of freeing your mind, is like build a team around you who have complementary strengths to yours, you know? Instead of doubling up on strengths or you feeling like you've got to do what they do. And so what I've done is like I've partnered with YLC, and they are phenomenal at strategy and execution for these kind of things. And yeah, so now it's like I don't have to do the things that I'm not necessarily great at. I can focus purely on things I'm good at, and anyone who wants more of that stuff, the strategy and the execution, they can do that with them. Obviously, my wife's company, I'm involved in the company as well. But yeah, it's just very exciting. And putting the cart before the horse is something that I'll write about there as well. Is like it is above the means that my business by itself has the capacity for. But it's about investing for where you want to go, not for, or where you truly want to go and where you're called for, not just where you feel like going, oh, look at this, got a little journal with Yana on it. I'm going to take this back. Oh, this is sick. A little calendar for Yana. Anyway, and yeah, I'm excited to be doing that because it's like something I wrote about yesterday. It was put the cart before the horse, hold the faith. That's it, really. And essentially what I'm doing with that is investing above the means. I'm investing for the means of where I want my company to be, because I know I need this thing. It's a little boot up the butt to be like, get going, figure this stuff out. And then holding the faith, holding the space, and not like panicking, being like, oh no, my company doesn't have the money for this. It's like, oh, it's coming in because I'm investing for where I want to be in God's time. I don't have to worry about the timeline. I can just let go of that. And I'm just like, well, if I know it's going to work out anyway, why not just build that team now from the ground, like the very foundation. And then like as we go more, I'm just going to invest more and more back into my business, into building a team to allow me to do more and more of just the things I want to do, and other people to specialize in things that are their gifts, their callings, their passions. So like a film team and all of that kind of thing. Anyway, alrighty, we've just arrived at Scarborough. Nicked my mum's little tripod in that. Got a little towel on the seat so I don't get it all sweaty. And we're gonna go for a little dip in the beach and just love life doing that whilst yeah, just quick dip here, and then I'm gonna go do some stuff in for the house. But I'm gonna basically be using that to rinse these shorts off and like get I love salt water in my hair and that kind of thing. Yeah, did a sick live, went for a run with my dad. That was great. We just chatted, caught up a little bit. It was a pretty chill, slow run. I was kind of like skipping and like just doing my thing there. And yeah, I was just, for me, sometimes I'm like, I gotta do. And I like won't get into a state where I can actually think about stuff. So like the run was great because then I was like, go into doing my, did a couple posts. Love that. Feel that drive from the stuff I was talking about earlier. It's just flowing, it's just happening. It's like effortless to do these posts, and the direction is so clear now, where everything comes in. And now I'm just like sussing out, do I get certain gym memberships whilst I'm over here, pay casual entries, because there's one like at the gym here, but it's like a 5-week membership. That's the smallest one they do, or just casuals. And I'm like, well, I know it's more value for money, but then I'm like, I'm getting a 5-week membership when I'm here for a week, and I'm probably not going to use it that much. I've got the gym that I go to over east, like has branches here, so I can probably pop in to one of those for a little bit extra a week, and that would probably be more worthwhile. And then I'm visiting other gyms with friends. I might end up visiting this gym like once, maybe twice. So then I'm like, if it's like twice during the week I'm going to come to, and then I think I'm going to visit some other gyms, and it's like I'll just pay casual entries, you know. I think that's more worth it. Anyway, so I've kind of sussed that out, but I'm going to go dip in the water. love waking up to a bit of that, and because Jana's also asked me to do some numbers for our intuitive trading. I'm just waiting on like which numbers she wants specifically, and then I'll send those to her, get in that state first, because that's how I do it. And yeah, just good surprise for my dad and all that. Alright. Is it as glamorous as I remember? Oh my goodness. The beach there. Wow. Yep. Alright, dead cat microphone on there now. Got the bag back on. See if that audio is any better. I was like, might as well. And yeah, the beach here. Wow, now the camera looks even bigger. The beach here, just as good as I remember, bro. I get it when people say best. One of some of the best beaches in the world. Oh wow, look at that as you come around. Even Brisbane doesn't look like this. You've got the classic amphitheatre over there. This all down here. Look at how blue that water is. So good. Look at that beach background. Yeah, I reckon it'll be good every quarter. I'll organise to come back to Perth, because then I can do some kind of inspection on the house, do some updates. I don't know, like if we do renos and that kind of thing, that'll be sick. But come back, see my family, do this stuff. I might even do some slightly longer stays than that as well, like how I did the 3-week one last time. That was before I was doing any like PTs, you know. So, oh, this is great. All right, look at this beach, bro. And I love beach weather in Perth. I don't need to be around it all the time. Obviously, I love to be around it. Stuff it, I'm gonna go here. I'm a pretty strong swimmer. I like going outside the flags, the lifeguard flags they got set up. But yeah, bro, like, this is just different to some of the Brizzy beaches, bro. So yeah, glorious, bro, glorious. I kind of just leave the camera up here. You can watch me go have a soak. That'll do. Nothing in here. It's got no pockets. Alright, nice little dip there. Let's go take a little shower. Alright, we just got done doing a little house inspection. This is our little house in Banksia Grove. It was pretty fun. Couple of pretty chill people, you know. One of them was they're a couple of Asians, but it's an Asian mum.
And he tries to talk to there is a dark side to John Jones.
Asian mum and a younger kid that were like, you know, the kid's starting uni fresh out of high school. The mum is very much that like no gap year type thing. I was like, my mum was the same, I get it. So yeah, hopefully I wasn't going too opposed to it. They're pretty chill though, pretty like nice people. I like chatting to them. And yeah, and we're just talking about the house, how it's quite like, seems quite narrow. And it seems really small from the front, but you get in and it's quite long. She was saying it's a very Gen Z house. But yeah, I am just very blessed to actually have this place, hey. Again, it's like no man does it alone. I think is such an important philosophy to embody. Is like, one, I wouldn't even have the house if it wasn't for my parents. Like, finding this deal and then just being like, we can put it in your name, and fronting a lot of the money for it. Jana fronted money for it as well. I put money into it. And then even Jana being like, yeah, we can actually use this as an investment to do X, Y, Z and these things. So we lived in there for 6 months and she put up with it. She didn't like the house. Like, Jana just doesn't like this house that much. Like, just the vibe in there was a bit crammed. But then we started renting it out, and now it's like, a big part of our net worth, or one of our assets, and it's like worth 600 to 700k from like it's like 330k or something to build in total. And from that, we've made obviously the rent side of things, and have the asset has gone up, but also like we've used the debt or the loan, those assets to and this is not financial advice, I'm just saying what we've done and not going too much into the specifics, but we use that, and that's an important thing. You can leverage debt as long as you know how to wield it and use it properly to like get cash kind of like for nothing. So basically we leveraged the debt that we had here to get a like what's the term? We reserviced the loan, I think, or something like that. Reservice isn't quite the right word, but it's like you rejig it. And one of our things was that we basically reserviced the loan, and then as a result of that, we got the difference in cash. So we got 100k in cash in a day. Well, it didn't take a day to do it, but it like immediately one lump sum paid in a day. I'm actually very grateful to Yana the way she operates this stuff, because I'm thinking about it and looking at these assets. I'm like, I am not the guy that necessarily knows how to leverage the assets, but I know how to bring the people together. And a good thing is that I can't touch it. Like, I have access to the accounts for the rent and that kind of thing, but I can't actually touch it and do it, because a lot of these things are like, you can get, oh, I could do this, I could do that, it'd be juicy. But it's better if you have these things and then you've got your business. For myself, like, this is the part of the free your mind thing. Like, you have your business so you can just focus on the business and like not ruffle the other stuff that you're doing. But I'm very grateful to have this, and it's cool. It's a cool part of like being open to it, and being open to leveraging your assets is one of the biggest things, because I think a lot of people don't do that. They just look at, how do I just do it this, like myself included. Like before, sometimes it's like, and this is where Yana's great. Like she's very resourceful is a word that she uses. She's never just like, how do I just pay this out of pocket? It's like, how can I find the funding for this? How can I gather other resources, utilize other people's leverages and their strengths so that it's a good deal for them? And I'm like good at making the deals as well, but it's just like unconventional business is what I say that she's very good at. So a lot of the time if she recommends something, I'm like, yep, we're doing that. Yeah, so pretty cool, pretty blessed. My parents let me borrow their car as well, so I'm so well provided for, so grateful. So it's a cool little thing to have all of this. Anyway, I'm gonna head back now. My dad and I are gonna go get some meat, and I am going to hang out with him for a bit and then do some stir. I gotta do some listings and that kind of thing, so fun times. Take some photos and stuff. Alright, yeah, that's pretty much all for this bit here. This section is really about being able to do that, and we'll talk more about that in the future. Take care, bye. Oh, actually, I'm about to send a voice note to someone, because they just asked me a question on Instagram. He was like, what do you mean by putting the cart before the horse? So, because I said it in my post, I made a little post. Okay, I finally got something to wedge that on, so it's not like that. So I'll just show you guys me sending that voice message. Turn the Wi-Fi off, because I'm not using the Wi-Fi. Okay. So it was in response to this thing. Let me show you. Oh, I'll read it out. I won't show you the guy. What do you mean when you say put the cart before the horse? It's like, if I were to start all over again, I would tell myself, this is the post. If I were to start all over again, I'd tell myself, okay, always follow your passion, it's a little real, and then don't try turning your weaknesses into strengths. Build around your God-given natural abilities. And then like the text that I wrote in the next slide, this is like Instagram story stuff. My wife and I have been having some deep, challenging conversations as of late. These have been a couple of revelations I've had in that time. It's funny that these are all actually the things that got me to where I am right now. Sometimes it can feel like you lose sight of those things, but I can see now it's God preparing you for new depths of growth. So, point 1, always follow your passion, your true calling. Point 2, you don't have to build your weaknesses into strengths. They never will be. You can address them and or lean on others. There is always the right person with complementary strengths to yours that can cover those weaknesses from a place of passion and joy. So again, it circles back to that first point. Follow your passion. Third point, it's good to depend on others. It's good to depend on other dependable people. You can't do it all yourself. God didn't make us that way, but that's the beauty of it. You can be great, but you will only be complete with others. This is the art of being man. Embody that and it'll be all gravy, baby. I've got to redo that actually because I kind of messed it up. One of the words. Embody that. Alright, so I'm going to reply, and he said, what do you mean when you say put the cart before the horse? So I'm going to reply, because this would be good. Hey Big Sauce, hope you're well. So what I mean when I say put the cart before the horse is essentially take action and just make the commitment before having all of the details figured out. So normally we think, okay, we have to put the horse, like using that analogy, a horse pulling a cart. You're like, I've got to get the horse first and the specifics and figure this thing out, and then I can get the cart and all these things. But this is like, you set the cart in motion and you'll figure out the horse and what to put in the cart and all that along the way. So it's a little backwards to what I think most people do. They're like, you got to prepare, which is all well and good, and all the planning side of things, but not everything normally goes according to plan. You do anyway, and you figure the stuff out along the way. So say put the cart before the horse, or commit to that thing that is in line with the intention that you have, and the specifics will inform themselves. So yeah, does that make sense, Big Sauce? Let me know. Bah. Alright, there you go, little voice note. Alright, sick. Let me get this. Cool. Alright, I better go. So now I'm gonna go and do some listing. Alright, sick. I think it's just Tuesday today. Anyway, that's a lot of what we do. I'm not going to necessarily do any filming whilst I'm driving because I don't think it's too messy. That's that section, and that's very much put the cart before the horse. Like, I don't know all the specifics with this stuff. I didn't know all the specifics of, like, even marrying my wife. It was like, I didn't know every single detail about her. Put the cart before the horse. You kind of go, you go by the intuition and the feeling. You're intentional about asking questions, but some people are like, oh, you got to live together first. You got to do this first. It's like, well, you're just talking about being married first before being married, and being Christian as well. It's like you don't live together before you get married. It's like, what are you doing? You go with that pretense because it's almost like, well, it is that attitude of going in like, what if it doesn't work, versus like, and so when you're focused on doing it that way and all of your actions align with that, most people don't realize that's what we're doing. What if it doesn't work? A lot of the time it doesn't work because you're not being intentional. You're kind of hiding bits of yourself, kind of like playing a game accidentally. I don't think people do it to themselves on purpose necessarily, besides doing it to preserve the current state because it's safer than perceived change. That's another thing. But a lot of people will not, they go in with that attitude. They'll go in with that attitude of like, oh, what if it doesn't work? What if I do this and it doesn't go the way that I want it to? And as a result, it's like they're so focused on that it doesn't work, and they won't ask the right questions of the person. They won't, build an intentional thing. But with me, I was very intentional about like, well, I want to find the person that will be my wife and get married in a Christian sense, and so I'll just be deliberate about everything I do being around that. I'm just checking that I've actually locked the house because I'm here, and it's better to check that. So yeah, and even with my wife, like, we didn't have every detail figured out. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen and how we were compatible we were in that sense and all that, like, because we got engaged after we met and got married within 5 months, which even for like young Christians is pretty quick. But just being deliberate about that stuff. We were engaged within like 4 months of meeting each other, if I have that right. I'm just grabbing the slippers out from here because I don't like driving with slippers on. You don't want to accidentally have them go all over the place. Yeah, and I didn't have all the specifics figured out. I just was like, yep, this is right. We're going to make this work, because that's what God tells us to do. And God will often tell you to put the cart before the horse, because He sees the full route. And it's like that quote that I've been seeing Chris Williamson throw around a lot right now is the ironic tragedy of life is it doesn't make sense moving forward, but you can connect all the dots retrospectively. Something to that effect. And yeah, to a degree, like our world, our flesh, our bodies, our minds, which are part of the flesh, our minds in the brain, the logical sense, they can only comprehend what's really in front of them, which is part of it as well, perception. But when it comes to our spirit, our intuition, it can actually see that path moving forward and connect the dots moving forwards as we live in that linear aspect of time, like time moving from A to B, moving forwards kind of thing. The spirit and your intuition can kind of transcend that and be like, here's what you need to do, say, blah, blah, blah. Here's what you need to be in order to do these things. And it might not make sense to you at the time, but when you follow it, it's just like, oh, you'll look back and be like, oh, of course, like that made perfect sense. So that's a lot of what we do now. And that's how Yana and I decided to get married in that as well. It's like, ask God, and if God shows you, then you're like, all right, let's do it. Anyway, time to drive. Bye.